Good morning and welcome to GKBA Today, where we always feature a member of the Greater Kendall Business Association. And today we have our special guest today is Giancarlo Ramirez from ITva, or do you pronounce it ITVA?
It's fine. ITVA or ITva is the same. At the end, we're here to help.
Okay.
Doesn't matter the name.
Excellent. Giancarlo, you've been a member for a while, and we heard you speak a couple of weeks ago or last month, I should say, at our breakfast. Very fascinating, talking about cybersecurity. But before we talk about your business, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Giancarlo. I'm the CTO of ITva Technologies. We are a technology company based on Kendall. And a little bit about me. Well, I was in the industry, cybersecurity and networking for more than 20 years. I used to work for a big corporate, but I see that my community need help to build security or to build better ways to protect the business. So basically, I create ITva, and I have been living in Miami for 15 years. I went to Miami-Dade College. I get my bachelor degree in Mexico City. I was living in Mexico City for a while.
And where are you from originally?
From Cuba.
Okay.
So I moved from Cuba to Mexico. In Cuba, I started my passion about technology.
Okay.
Let's go. My dad was able to travel. He bring me a computer. I started, playing with the computer. I love, to play with the computer, to code. Little by little, my family has to migrate to Mexico. Then in Mexico, I start like talleres. It's like talleres. Seminars. Without being in the school. And then I get to the school. I was in the process to get into the high school.
Right.
I was 1 year out of school because paper and issues.
Right.
So, but in that year, I was able myself to play with computer, read book about technology. And 1 year after that, I get into the last year of high school with a pattern to technology. So I finished my bachelor degree.
Right.
I was working for a Mexican federal government.
Okay.
And then I moved to Miami.
So I know that you're a big soccer guy.
That's correct.
Or football, as they call it, really. How did you pick up that passion? Was it in Mexico?
No, in Cuba.
Cuba?
Yes. My dad is a sport doctor.
Okay.
He used to be the doctor for the national team. Football, the Cuba national team.
Right.
Soccer. But at that time, Cuba is not famous in soccer.
Right.
I was involved in the soccer, but I can say I started my passion when I went to Mexico.
Okay.
In my university, they got like a team.
Right.
And, I'm the tallest one in that generation.
Right.
In Mexico.
Right.
So I started, playing as a striker.
Okay.
Because of my height, I get better and better. And little by little, I get into the, in a bigger clubs.
Okay.
No professional club, it's amateur. But, little by little, I built that passion for the soccer.
Okay. And you still play, right?
I still play, yes. Then I moved to Brazil for a couple months.
Okay.
Like 3 months. I was living in Sao Paulo. And in Brazil is when I realized, I can be better in soccer. So I went to do the tryouts for a professional team.
Okay.
I never made it.
Okay.
Brazil, they are so talented.
Right.
But, I say, look, this is something that built my personality.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you think happened to Real Madrid yesterday?
Well, it's a horrible season.
Yeah.
Like every team and human beings. Sometimes you got the peaks, sometimes you go the downs. And that season was bad. What performance in Liga, bad performance in Champion, and also in this World Cup, bad performance. Yeah. But we're coming back next year.
Okay. All right. So now let's switch gears to your business.
Correct.
How did ITVA start?
Well, ITVA started thanks to the pandemic. I gotta say thanks to the pandemic because in 2020, when COVID pandemic hit the United States, a lot of small business, they were suffering with the new regulation that you cannot have so many employees on your facility.
Right.
We start to receiving calls from friends. At that time, I was working for a big company.
Right.
So we're receiving a lot of calls. Hey, Jan, could you pass here and help me to figure it out? How can I separate my employees between on-premise or people working remote? So that year, 2020, is when we start thinking, hey, there's so many demand for small companies that they are not ready, to migrate from the physical facility
Right.
to the remote environment. That day, I remember it was in a weekend, and I say, Jose, my partner, hey, Jose, we got like 5 projects for the weekend. I mean, or we hire someone else, or we gotta start, building like a company because, I mean, a lot of people in Miami, they need help with this situation.
Right.
So that was the year that we picked, we picked the COVID to
start
business, doing business.
So at that point, was it mostly IT?
Mostly IT.
Okay.
Yes.
Just helping people with the capability to have remote and on-premise workers.
Just gotta remember, the world changed in 2 weeks. We received a mandate that you gotta leave the facility, physical facility. There's some regulation about how close you can be to another employee.
Right.
And that happened in 2 weeks.
Right.
So basically, in that 2 weeks, we're gonna run, get a lot of devices, telecom devices, to split, the employee personnel between here in your office and remote. And at that time, everybody was suffering the same situation. So we gotta even build our own devices, because if you try to buy it on Amazon or different platform, it's sold out. Everybody's doing the same.
So that's interesting. So you had to build your own hardware?
Yes.
How did you learn to do that?
Well, when I was in college, there are so many seminars when you can, with open source, you can try to replicate like brands do. Basically, famous brand like Cisco, they got a computer, they code their own software, and that's how I create telecommunication devices. So in my case, I gotta buy small computers with a software that we use is open source. We install the software, and do you know what is a firewall? So basically, we build a firewall in an old computer. And thanks to that, we can help so many local business that they weren't able to buy the firewall, because at that moment, everybody was buying firewall to do the remote workforce.
So you told me that you learned how to code, right? That was like
my first step.
Your first step was to code. So does that help you now? I mean, obviously it helped you during the pandemic, but do you still code?
I'm still coding.
All right.
Yes, because that's something that skill you always have to keep alive.
Okay. But why is that? Why?
Why? Because I think coding is the base for IT technology.
Okay.
Everything is a software, or everything run in a script. Right now with artificial intelligence, I gotta be more involved to learn how integrate all systems with new technologies, how artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So the bridge between all technology and artificial intelligence is always coding. Sending lines to try to all systems integrate with the new hardware and the new softwares. So I think one of the most important skill for young generation is to coding.
Yeah.
We should mandate in Miami-Dade, Board of Education, coding since the kids are like 6 years or 5 years.
Interesting, because now I know there are like summer camps for coding but I don't know if there's formal school curriculum for coding. But that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Just a little bit of a shameless plug here. On the 24th, we have our GKBA signature luncheon, and one of the members from the school board is going to be there, Mary Blanco. So maybe you want to be there and ask her about that. But anyway, what do you offer? What services do you offer your clients, and what type of clients do you have?
Well, right now we are based on Miami.
Right.
Our first goal is to help every single community business or local business to improve cybersecurity and network protection.
Okay.
The service that we do is everything related with IT. We also have developers. We got experts in cybersecurity and networking. We got regulation. Regulation involve more the laws that the government.
Yeah, compliance.
Compliance, exactly.
Okay.
We do also voice IP telephony.
Okay.
We also do consulting.
Okay. So what types of businesses do you help or have you helped?
Here in our community, we help accountant firms, clinic, research clinic, schools, retail business. Basically, every small business that they have computers, they have system. We are able to help. We are able to analyze the situation and
Right.
send like a IT consultation based on security, how improve security, and also a new kind of business that we are, you know, helping a lot is the insurance industry.
Okay. What do you feel is like a common among small businesses um, as far as their lack of cybersecurity? I know that that's a big problem, that it's, not taken seriously. Small businesses think they're not vulnerable because they think hackers only go after big companies. Tell me a little bit about that.
Let me tell you, that's wrong to think because you are a small business, you're never gonna get attacked by hackers. The thing is, you as a small business have less budget, to secure your system or to invest in security. So that means the hacker go more to a small business to big corporation. Big corporation spend $millions in cybersecurity.
Right.
Small companies, sometimes they don't even spend $1 a year. So that we're trying to do with that is always offer a free assessment to a small business, to local business, understand what is the actual situation. Security, we see security as a different layer as a system with different layers of security.
Right.
You got email security, you got network security, you got domain security, computer security, and we're trying to integrate so many layers of security as possible to protect different vectors. Vector is the way that the hacker is going to get into your network, into your email. But now that you mentioned that, I think right now in our community, we're suffering something called email security pandemic.
Email security pandemic.
Yes. No one secured the email. And the email is the most important piece of communication for a small business. Could you imagine without the email, are you able to do your business?
No.
So every single business is like you, like me. I use my email for everything, for order, for saying
Communicating
coding.
with clients.
Exactly.
Everything, vendors, whatever.
And that's the basic. The basic is you use your email for communicate with clients or do business. That's the first line of defense. Email in Miami-Dade County, I see, because I do a research, more than 90% of the small business, they don't even have one line of security.
So is that the start? Because, for example, I know some people have antivirus software in their computers. What can you do to secure? Well, first of all, what kind of attacks do people see on email, and what can you do to prevent it?
For example, email, there's so many attacks. One of the famous attacks is phishing attack, when they're trying to impersonate one member of your company, or sometimes not even person from your company. They impersonate clients.
Right.
They get credential. They get your credential. They trick because they do something called, Carlos, social engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And right now with artificial intelligence, it's even worse because could you imagine you fighting with a artificial intelligence that they are able to send you like maybe 100 emails a week, and all the objective for that email is you to pick the wrong email and to send your information to to the hacker.
Yeah. So talking about social engineering, something that just came out in the news is somebody made a deep fake of Marco Rubio, and it made it like he was calling people, big functionaries from other countries, and people believed it was him. So I mean, that's, I guess, another, like you called it, another vector.
That's another vector. That's another threat that we have right now with artificial intelligence. It's so easy, even for kids from middle school, like my son. He was able to do with my face, like he upload my picture in a platform, and with my face, he do like a artificial intelligence video that I was telling you, my brother, something different that I never. I mean, he was able to do like a fake video that I was giving some director to my brother, and I was thinking, wow, my kid is only 12 years old. So could you imagine right now with the deepfake and artificial intelligence, it's so easy to do social engineering. something that is a new, is trending. When you receive a call and no one is in the other side, they maybe are recording your voice. And once they got your voice, they can add that voice to the video. So it's more real.
So what do? You
when I receive a call,
don't even say hello.
I don't say hello, because if someone is calling you, for sure they're gonna say hi, hello, good morning. I always expect communication is two ways, right? I always wait for the feedback. If I answer the phone, someone in the other side has to say good morning, hello. If no, I hang out. That's my behavior. That's something that I recommend.
Okay. So back to email. What other type of attacks? Phishing is very popular. How do you protect yourself?
Phishing, there's so many layers of security in the email. But one of the best the best thing that we do is encrypt. We can encrypt the email point to point. You say your system has to be with a special setup, with a special key, that every single email or server that communicate with yours, you're gonna challenge that key to see if it's real.
Okay.
So I don't gonna go in the technical, technical, but basically there's some policies, security policy for the email that you gotta set on your server. We do that. We offer because we are in pandemic about the email security, we offer a free assessment for every single business.
That's big.
They can call us and he can send me an email. Hey, Jan, could you check this email if it's protected or not? It's free because I'm trying to help, to build security in Miami. And I respond, what should I do? What should you do with the email protection? Another, I was mentioned to you in the talk that we have. We got DMARC, we got SPF, and we have the KIN. Those are three important policy to implement in the email service.
Right, and I know it's critical because both Google and Yahoo, I guess about a year ago, they forced you to do it, and if not, your emails were not going to be delivered.
That's correct. Yeah, that's another that's another topic that we're doing right now is email deliverability.
Okay.
So if your email is able to reach the potential client or the people that you're trying to reach,
is that part of your assessment?
Is that part of the assessment? Yeah, because the thing is, if you don't comply, if you don't have the DMARC, the KIN, SPF, the other server can reject your email. So you never, and they don't.
Your email just doesn't get there.
Don't get there, and you losing business, you losing communication.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what other types of a small business have to worry about?
Okay, the Wi-Fi.
Okay, what about Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi is another vector that hackers or newbies start using as a easy entryway. Most of the business that we consulting here in South Florida, they only have, Carlos, one Wi-Fi for business, for retail, for do transaction like credit card transaction, and they share the same internet for the customers. And if you think most of the customers are good people, they go to your business because they like what you do, but there's a lot of customers that they are hacker and they go to your business to see if they can do something, get information. And you see, in Miami, we are famous about, they call the capital of crime or the capital of
fraud and all that.
Fraud. And the thing is, if you go to so many businesses, even in South Beach, they don't have protection. It's the same Wi-Fi for every single transaction. And business has to understand your Wi-Fi is, is your infrastructure. You gotta protect your company, or also you gotta protect the customers. You don't wanna be liable if something happens with a customer on your network.
So what should they do for, to separate just their email versus transactions versus whatever else? They
gotta create 3 different Wi-Fi networks.
Okay.
And they gotta do something called insulation. The communication between, let's say, customers never reach your main network.
Okay.
And the transaction, some company or some retail business, they use only a Wi-Fi for the machines, for the cashier machine.
Right.
Only insulated. Computers in that network or in that segment of the network, they only communicate with the server to do the transaction.
Okay.
It's like insulate communication.
Okay. Interesting.
So they gotta separate the network in the use. If you got, you got Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, that Wi-Fi only for customer. Never try to do business in that Wi-Fi.
So when you say for customers, that's where your emails would go through, or is that
no.
That would be a separate.
No, that's for guests. That's the network for guests.
I see, for guests. Guest network. Okay.
Guests. No, your main network is when you do your email, your transaction as a business.
Okay. All right. So what about virtual private networks? How do they work?
Well, that's a good tool. I mentioned in the talk.
Yes.
I always using VPN.
Always
VPN, the private network. Yes. The thing is, when you go to Starbucks,
right,
when you go to different places like McDonald's, they offer free internet, right?
Right.
And that's a good thing to offer free internet. But they don't protect you if someone is in that network. You
don't want to go to your bank account.
Exactly. I mentioned to you, when I always in the public Wi-Fi, I only use public Wi-Fi for look for address, to watch video. I never, in a public Wi-Fi, you're going to see me sending money, entering to my bank account,
right?
Even sending email from my company. No, I use a VPN.
So with a VPN, you're safe.
Yes.
What about using your phone as a hub? Is that safer than?
It's better. For me, it's better than use a public Wi-Fi.
Than using a public Wi-Fi.
Because the only user that is connected to your phone is you.
Right.
You go to I like to go to Starbucks sometimes to do some kind of working.
Right.
And I see always in Starbucks more than 5 person working computer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that person is, is a hacker. We don't know.
Right.
So I'm gonna take that risk.
Yeah. So what do you have any cases of how you've helped some of your customers, whether it's before they got hacked, after they got hacked? What are some stories you can tell us?
Well, yes. Before they get hacked, we always try to do a free assessment.
Okay.
We do a free assessment. We give you advice. We give you IT consultation. And even with that consultation, technology is always changing.
Right.
You're always gonna take a risk, maybe a vulnerability that this is simple. Every single day you get so many hackers sending codes, to customer. My question is, there's no 100% protection, okay?
Right. If they want to get you, they're going to get you.
They're going to get you. One day or the other way, that's why I implement so many layers of security. The best that we can share with you is the customers that they get hacked after we, try to implement cybersecurity is the lack of continuity. Cybersecurity, you got to implement security, but you got to keep the whole system updated.
Right.
We get a customer.
If there's even a physical catastrophe or a hack or whatever.
No, for physical catastrophe, there's so many ways that you can protect your data. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The thing is, we implement security, right? People think security is one day you do the consultation and that's it. And no, security is every day. Right. Security comes with the education of your whole staff.
Okay.
And for that, we do like a training, like quarter training or half-year training. We try to teach you phishing, how to avoid phishing, how to avoid a scam. And I'm going to share something here. I got a customer. I got a client. He's a doctor in Miami. Because he has HIPAA compliant, he get our services. And he said, look, I know right now I have zero security. So I need your help to build, this system. He hired us for 2 months. But what happened after 2 months? He called me like 3 months later. Hey, I get my email hacked and my email is sending emails to patients, to insurance. And he say, I told you cybersecurity
is ongoing.
It's ongoing. It's not like one project day that, okay, because I update your firewall, I update your infrastructure, you have to have someone to monitor 24/7.
Right.
If you don't monitor your network, you don't know if someone is
trying
inside.
To get in,
So that's something I share. He think because he hired me for one project.
That was it.
That wanna build, the protection for the whole business life.
Yeah. So Giancarlo, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Okay.
We're gonna have you back because I know there's a lot more to cover with this topic. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Simple. ITvaTechnologies.com.
So it's ITVA.com.
That's correct.
Oh, ITVAtechnologies.com.
ITvaTechnologies.com.
Okay.
Or the phone that we always answer to help.
Okay. Which is your phone number?
877-365-5599.
Great. Giancarlo, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a member of the Greater Kendall Business Association. And we look forward to seeing you at, we have a happy hour next Wednesday.
I'm going to be there.
Okay.
I'm going to be there.
At Tacos and Tattoo. And then you're going to hear it here first. We are going to switch venues for our luncheon. We're going to start doing our luncheons at Fogo de Chao in downtown Dadeland. So we'll see you there on the 24th.
For sure. And thank you for bringing me to community news. This is my first time. I like it. I hope the information helped our community. And something that I always say, please call me. I always going to try to help you. And one of my goals is to secure all community business.
Excellent.
Thank you, Carlos.
Until next time, we'll see you.